Welcome everyone to the first official ever ETHToronto Crypto Nerds meetup. Yeah. So I think probably the first question people are wondering is, what kind of name is Crypto Nerds, right? Like, so basically the agenda for today is that we're going to basically start with an intro, get to meet some of the sponsors that basically made all this event possible, the free food, the free beer, all that kind of stuff. Then we're gonna have a lightning talks talking about like why crypto matters, some crypto related topics, and then we're gonna basically get into it. So yeah, first of all, what is Crypto Nerds? Why would we call our group Crypto Nerds? Can anybody guess who's not a Wealthsimple employee why it's called Crypto Nerds? So it actually starts with the Slack channel. So we have a Slack channel at our office called Crypto Nerds. And basically people are just constantly talking all the time about crypto this, crypto that, what we love about crypto. And then so in the Slack channels, okay, well, instead of us just always talking on Slack about crypto, what if we made a group to kind of, share things and talk synchronously, bless you, about crypto? So I kind of made that group chat, hey, why don't we do a crypto talk? And when we launched this in about February, and it was open only to Wealthsimple, only to people who are Wealthsimple employees. But like the whole benefit of crypto, so like whole community aspect, WAGMI, we're all in this together kind of thing. And I was thinking to myself, what if we open this up to everyone? So literally 2 weeks ago, I got 16 strangers in the Zoom chat, and like, none of you guys know each other. I know this looks super sketchy, but I have an idea. ETHToronto is happening next week, in 2 weeks from now. Let's do something. And literally none of these people knew each other, but they all kind of came together to make it happen. And then the next thing you know, we had an event with about 230 people sign up, 140 people on the waiting list, and basically something with a huge amount of interest. And I think this right here kind of speaks to what crypto is all about, which is that none of these people knew each other, right? Like this was like, people were like, what is Tommy Wood doing? Why are we all in a random Zoom chat on a Tuesday afternoon? But we're all able to come together to make this event possible. And so the first thing I want to do is, if your name is on this list, can you please stand up? Yeah, New York Shan, I see. If your name is on this list, please stand up. Terja, Jen, Brianna, Emma. Can we please give them a round of applause, please? Thank you. Yeah. Even though I'm kind of standing in front of you guys right now, like none of this would have been possible without them, especially Terja right there, Terja. And then Eamon, who is leading us all virtually. The other thing I wanted to talk about is that this whole theme about crypto is for everyone. So I think one of the things that's pretty cool about this is that if you even look around the room, this is not your typical crypto bro demographic, right? Like it's a pretty diverse group, both in terms of gender, ethnicity, and also age-wise. We have a lot of students here. Actually, if you're a student, can you raise your hand? Yeah, so we have quite a bit of students here. So shout out to the students. And this is kind of one of the things that's super important to us, is that crypto is not just for like adults, like everyone should be involved in this thing. And that's kind of what we wanted to try to make happen today. Okay, one more thing. Bounty prize. So yeah, so we're doing a bounty prize. We're gonna give $100 to 2 people who have the best Twitter thread, Instagram reel, or TikTok video about this event. So if you want to summarize this event, tweet about it, make a TikTok, make an Instagram reel, you could win $100. All you have to do is basically tag our 4 sponsors. And speaking of also, if you enjoy this event and you want to sponsor a future event, you can just send me an email, and then you can basically get involved in future events. And speaking of sponsors, I want to give a round of applause for our first sponsor who made this all possible, Wealthsimple. Yeah.
Hello, hopefully you guys can hear me. My name is Naroshan. I'm a software engineer here at Wealthsimple. I work on the crypto team, and I'm just going to be giving a brief overview of crypto here at Wealthsimple. So before I go into that, I'll just read our mission. So like our mission here is to help everyone achieve financial freedom, no matter who they are or how much they have. The ways we do that is we offer commission-free trading, fractional shares for equities, managed investing. So that's like our robo-advisor platform. We don't have any account minimums. We offer free tax filing. We also have a debit card where you get 1% cash back on cash, stocks, or crypto. And we also have Wealthsimple Foundation, which is our charitable foundation that helps make education more accessible to students here in Canada. So just talking about crypto, Wealthsimple, we offer 50 different or over 50 different cryptocurrencies that you can buy and sell. We offer deposits and withdrawals. We also offer price alerts so you can stay on top of all the volatility that happens in crypto. And we also offer news so you can like stay on top of what's going on with your favorite crypto. Safety is a top priority for us. So we have custodial partners that are trusted by the industry. We also have $200 million in cold storage coverage, are held in trust. So what that means is held by us, but ultimately owned by you. So in the unlikely event that we go insolvent, the crypto is still yours. And we've also been compliant since day one, unlike some other exchanges. And we were also Canada's first regulated crypto trading platform. In terms of regulation, we always ensure that our fee processes are always compliant, and we have a kick-ass reg team that regularly engages with regulators. They're here somewhere, I don't know where they are. And we're also one of the founding members of the Canadian Web3 Council. In terms of culture, we're very passionate about crypto, as you can probably hear from Tamiwa's little speech there. We also have 20% week, which is almost like a hackathon of sorts, where actually we'll together different ideas over a week. We have an active crypto community here in Wealthsimple. So crypto nerds, as Tamiwa just mentioned, we also run crypto lunch and learns, which I guess kind of inspired this meetup. Yeah, and as for what's next, picking up some really exciting features that I'm excited about. So into our socials and announce exciting new features in the coming weeks. So thank you, and come talk to us. We have these pink wristbands, and we're very passionate about crypto, and we'd love to talk to you.
Before you go, you can say right here. So when Niroshan says come talk to us, he really means that. Like, probably one of the most helpful people at Wealthsimple and passionate about crypto is Nero. So if you're like shy, don't be shy, because Nero is super friendly. Yeah. And then who here works at Wealthsimple? Raise your hand real quick. Yeah, if you have any questions about working at Wealthsimple, culture, all that kind of stuff, you can talk to them. Okay, why are you smiling? Okay, next up we have Hedera.
Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for hosting this event in this beautiful office. Okay, so can I just gauge the room here? So how many of you are like really, really into crypto? Can you raise your hands? Okay, cool, cool. And how many of you are just kind of like learning about it, still navigating? Okay, awesome. And then how many of you just nothing, you don't even want to hear about crypto? Okay, cool. Okay, we're good. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about Hedera, and I'm going to tell you why I absolutely love Hedera and why I'm here representing them. So how many of you have heard that there's nothing behind crypto? It's all speculative. There's no real world assets. Has anyone ever heard that? Yeah, I know I've heard it a lot. So what I love about Hedera is that it kind of defeats that narrative. So no, it's not working. Okay, let's see. Okay, I just put these slides up today, so bear with me. So we are a distributed ledger technology. So it's kind of different to a blockchain. I'm not going to get into the technicalities, but basically we do the same thing as a blockchain, but we also do more. That's not the interesting part. What's really interesting about us is that we have real world use cases. So we have actually been a private network until very recently. We have a council that's governed by the leading industries in the world, including Boeing, Google, IBM, LG, and we've got Ubisoft. And recently we've onboarded Chainlink Labs, so we're going Web3. So what's really cool is that we have a use case, and this use case I'm going to talk about today is basically fraud mitigation. So for anyone who works in finance, you'll know that fraud is a really big issue, especially when it comes to coupons. So this is just an example, but there's many different industries that have fraud. But coupons is one big example. So there's millions and millions of dollars of fraud every single year in coupons. And I know it sounds silly, but it's so easy to replicate a coupon. So what's the solution? Well, you can actually put the whole life cycle of the coupon on chain to make sure that that coupon is only used once and that there's just no fraud. So we're doing that also with pharmaceuticals. So the big pharma is using our chain to track all of the drugs from the lab to the consumer. So these are just broad examples, and there's many more. So we've actually been very private until recently. A few months ago, we've become public, and now we are open source. That means that all of you degenerates can actually build on our network alongside the biggest institutes in the world, which is super exciting. So we're actually the most used public network in the world. And yeah, we're here to be open source and be part of the Web3 crypto community. And just thank you for listening to me. And if you have any questions, please feel free to come and ask me. And please, if you can do me a favor, just get rid of all of this swag. Just take it with you so I don't have to take it back home with me. And yeah, thank you for the time.
Thank you. We're almost there, guys. Just 2 more sponsor pitches, and then we'll get to the other fun stuff, because this is also fun, right? Next, we have Metis.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, guys. My name is Elina Sinelnikova. I was not supposed to be here, but actually I came. So yeah, on a short notice. So I was supposed to be traveling, so that's why. So Metis is layer 2. So I would like to gauge the crowd a little bit. How many of you are in developers? Builders, yes, developers, thank you. And how many of you are in DeFi, decentralized finance? Good. And like, how many of you use DeFi, like lending, borrowing? Okay, thank you. And how many of you are traders? All right, about the same. Okay, all right, thank you so much. So Metis is a layer 2 solution on Ethereum. So if you know what Ethereum network is, so if you use Wealthsimple instruments, you must know what Ethereum network is. Ethereum, usually, not right now, but usually it's very expensive to use, especially in the bull markets. Right now it's fine, but lots of companies are building scaling solutions to make it cheaper and also to make transactions faster. Metis does the same. But what we implemented very revolutionary technology, which allowed us to be the cheapest layer 2 on Ethereum, and also with the fastest transactions as well. So right now we are the cheapest. The transactions are 1 cent on Ethereum. So that's what Metis does, and does really, really well. Our idea to build economy, the system of the decentralized autonomous companies, where everybody can create autonomous company. You can create your own company with 1 click of a button and be on Ethereum right away without even knowing that you're on Ethereem. So that's the idea, and that's something that we're building. For that, we're building this infrastructure with 1 cent transaction fee. So of course, because we built this awesome infrastructure, lots of projects came in building DeFi. So you can use DeFi instruments. If you go to metis.io, look at our partners. So you can use DeFi instruments, and with the transaction fees at 1 cent, it's actually very profitable. So this is something that you can use right away. Also, how many of you, would you like to learn more about crypto? Yeah, okay, good. Because what also we have, and I am also founder of Crypto Chicks, which is an educational resource. We cater for women, but really, we have lots of men that take in our courses as well. So if you go to cryptochicks.ca, you can find some of them. We have very free courses. Some of them are for a cost, but very, very low. So yeah, you can use. And if you contact Stay in Touch at cryptochicks.ca and you say that you were at this event today, so we can give it to you for free. Actually, we can give the discount code. So yeah, cryptochicks.ca and Stay in Touch at cryptochicks.ca. Write down this email. So what also we have in Metis for the builders. So we have the projects that build on Metis, because we are decentralized and we support community. We have this thing that called builder mining. It means that we reward projects for every transactions that they make. So basically, some of the projects that build on Metis, they receive $200,000 a month just in this reward. So if you are a builder, if you're a developer, just keep it in mind that this is something that you can use as well. So I think all the practical uses I covered. But yes, thank you so much. Oh, and Metis name. Everybody asks this in Canada, and so why we name ourselves after the First Nation. Well, this is actually the other way around. So Metis is the Greek titaness of wisdom, and Metis is actually means in French, Metis, it means wisdom. So actually, the Metis people were renamed after the Greek goddess. So that's the other way around. So if you didn't know that, so here you get the education right away. So thank you so much, and thank you for coming.
All right, so final sponsor is Atila, which is my company, and it's part pitch, but really more so about why crypto matters. So Atila is a platform that helps people get scholarships with cash or crypto. Okay, but why did I start Atila? So who knows where this is? That's Lagos, Nigeria. That's where I'm from. And I moved to Canada when I was 8 years old. And for someone like me that's an immigrant, not from a rich family or anything like that, when you sort of think, how can I make it in society without like a leg up? One of the best ways to do that is in education, right? So my family and me kind of always put a really high premium on getting a good education. And then so I put such a high premium on it that I ended up going to the most expensive undergrad program in all of Canada called Ivy Business School. Where are my Ivy people at? Yeah. So I did a software engineering and business degree at Ivy Business School, which is good. It's a very good degree. The problem with that is this. Basically, I had about $30,000 in tuition fees every single year. And who knows what this is? Yeah, that's my student line of credit. So I graduated university with about $60,000 in student loans. And then, I like to say work hard, not smart, work smart, not hard. So I was thinking, okay, I could get a part-time job to try to pay this off. But I'm like, part-time job is what, $15 an hour, $20 an hour? That's not a good use of my time. So I kind of did some numbers and I realized, wait a second, even if I apply to a bunch of scholarships and I have a 5% win rate, I could probably make about $50 an hour. So that's what I did. I applied to a bunch of different scholarships. That's the scholarship I won in 2014, my first year of university. And that's the scholarship I won in 2021, my final year of university. But despite of all that work with scholarships, I still ended up in this situation where I'm graduating with $60,000 in student loans. And I was actually still one of the lucky ones, right? Because I'm like, if I'm fortunate enough to like still be able to get some scholarships, other people were in a worse situation. So I thought, okay, what if I just sort of built a platform? What if I just sort of built tools that solve both the supply and the demand side of scholarships? Right? And that's essentially what Atila does, that we have browser extensions, we have a website that help people find scholarships available on the internet. We also basically reach out to sponsors and say, hey, you should start a scholarship to basically help other students pay for their education. Now, why crypto? Why did Atila? So Atila supports both cash and crypto scholarships. So why crypto? Who knows who this is? Who said that? Very cool. And who is Joe Lubin? Who's Joe Lubin? Yes, I like how you phrase that. So way back in February 2017, I met Joe Lubin. Fast forward September 2017, who knows who that is? Balaji Srinivasan. And then I met, I think some of you all know, Vitalik Buterin. And so I don't say this to humble brag, well, kind of to humble brag, but also to say that like I've been in this crypto space for a very, very long time. And it was only until around 2021 that I started. So I've been in this space for a very long time, but I was always kind of just a bunch of really cool stuff, but there's no use case. I don't see the practical, I don't see the point. But then something happened in 2020, 2021. Can anyone guess what it was? And what happened to COVID? Price of crypto went through the roof. And there's something about money that just has a habit of getting people's attention. And so it was a combination of, wait a second, everyone was talking about crypto, even on Wealthsimple, the crypto team was exploding. And at the same time this was happening, a lot of people all over the world were messaging me saying, hey, I know you guys have scholarships for people in Canada. Can you do scholarships for me? I live in Nigeria, I live in this country, I live in that country. And the problem that I had was that if you live in America, if you live in Canada, it's very easy for you to do scholarships because of the fact that, you have Visa, you have really good banking rails. People in other parts of the world, there's sort of no way for them to basically have a thing where I do a scholarship and they receive the money. So then I thought to myself, well, I finally have the hammer, which is crypto, but now I finally have the nail to solve that problem with, which is sort of why we integrated cash and crypto. Which brings me to the second part of this presentation, why crypto matters. So now this is when the lightning talk starts. Basically what's gonna happen, we're gonna talk for about 5 minutes about a crypto related topic. And then afterwards, you guys can ask any questions you want. Okay, so why crypto matters? So the very simple, like if you had to put into one sentence why crypto matters, it's very simple. It allows you to own things digitally. Okay, the next question is, why do you need to own things digitally? Why is digital ownership so important? Well, the reason is that property rights is very, very tightly tied to human rights. If you actually think about every single piece of property you own now, real estate, voting, every single right you have, there's a long history of humans basically fighting with violence for you to have that right. I like to say that there's literally blood, there's people literally had to die for you to have a right to own stuff. There's actually a quote from the Bible that kind of captures this point, and it says, "And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force." If you replace the word heaven with earth, you kind of have a really good representation of how society today functions. The kingdom of earth suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. Every possible demographic you can think of, Americans, Blacks, Indians, Jews, women, LGBTQ, every single person that has a right to own assets today literally had to fight and literally had to die in order to get these assets. And the other thing I find very interesting about is that discrimination doesn't discriminate. You think about something like America, right? America literally had to go to war in 1812 to get the right to have their own country. And then in that same America, you have people like Blacks, women, and Jews have to fight war again to get their own rights. And this is what history is, just story after story of people basically fighting and dying to get these rights. Crypto fixes this. And to understand why, I want to use the example of this. Anybody know where this picture is from? August 1972, Uganda. The military dictator Idi Amin decided that every single Indian person get out. You have 90 days to get out of my country. Your houses, your assets, everything you own, we're seizing it immediately. The reason why this is such a thing is possible is because right now we live in a centralized world where all the assets we own are centralized. So if Idi Amin wants to seize everyone's assets in this house, in this room, all he has to do is go to a bank. You don't have to go you. You go to the CEO of the bank and say, every single person who's Indian, give me their money right now. And because of this, you can basically have dictators that can basically force their will upon people all over the world. In a distributed ledger system, such a thing wouldn't be possible anymore, because if you wanted to seize your assets, you'd have to go after every single person individually to seize their assets. And because it's so infeasible to do such a thing, he wouldn't bother trying to do it anyway, because it's impossible. So that means that if he wanted to get them out of his country, he'd have to reason with them, persuade them, and give them incentives. And then this sentence right here is basically why crypto matters so much, which is that you can't use force to make people do things. You have to use persuasion and you have to use incentives. And in such a situation like this would never be possible. So in a situation like this, if you wanted to get them out of his country, you'd say, hey, we want to give our country back to our own people. Maybe we can work something out together, conversation as opposed to force. And if you have to basically sum it down to 5 sentences why crypto matters, it's basically this. You can't use force to make people do things. So you have to use persuasion and appeal to their interests. And if you have to persuade people and appeal to their interests, it means you need to use empathy, conversation, and incentives to get people to do things. And when you have to use empathy, conversation, and incentives, you basically have more peace and more prosperity. And that's why crypto matters. Thank you. People have any questions, comments? Pardon me? Telecom? Oh, Atila, that. So okay, I'm glad you asked that question. So Atila doesn't actually have a meaning. And the reason it doesn't have a meaning is because we want the meaning to be emergent, which basically means that we want people to form their own meaning of Atila as it grows. It's like life. What's the meaning of life? It's up to you. Other questions? Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 So the way you would solve this, the question was, how do you regulate assets when it's decentralized? And it's with social norms. So a perfect example of this is NFTs. When you have someone who says basically, don't buy that NFT, it's the illegitimate one, buy my NFT instead. And you can verify this on their Instagram account, on their Twitter account. Basically, social consensus and social norms is how you verify ownership. Yep, last question. Can we get a mic, actually?
Okay, so I'm not really, this is all over my head. So my question to you, I guess, is for someone who, you guys get a lot of criticism, and like, obviously you mentioned people laugh at you, kind of like, this is gonna pass or whatever. So my question to you is for the people who are kind of cynical about this, what would your first go-to be to make it more accessible to people who are very critical of crypto? Because it's one of those things I feel like, you've painted a very pretty picture, you've told a very good story, but the cynic in me is like, well, like a straightforward, this is where you can start, that isn't too, over people's heads.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing would be finding what problems they have in their life and seeing if crypto solves it for them. I always like to focus on the use case. So see if they have a problem and see if crypto fixes that problem for them. The second thing I would say is not everyone has a problem that crypto solves right now, and that's okay. There's 7 billion people on this earth. You don't need to convert every single person right away.
That's fair. Follow up, I guess, sorry. You didn't actually, like you said, something that it would solve, but where do you go first? You have
so
your
for example,
problem.
you're a photographer right now.
Right now,
a big issue you have. So quick story, I was actually supposed to hire another photographer, but they were giving a whole thing about copyright, blah, 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 blah. I hired her instead, and she's doing a great job.
You don't know that yet.
Well, but I think in the world of digital rights, if you had an NFT, you could basically have more ownership. Yeah.
Of the copyright thing, but we'll talk later. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for example, so basically I would try to figure out what you're trying to solve. So I think an issue you guys have is ownership over your digital rights.
Exactly.
And I'll say, well, if you make your photos an NFT, you can basically monetize all your photos.
But not these ones. We need these ones.
What was your name, please?
Me? Oh, I'm
Aoife. So how I would answer that, because I'm help people with investing in tech that haven't got experience investing in tech. And so the easiest way to start that conversation at zero is to understand Web 1.0, which was distributed computers that would store a page like a browser. And then it evolved into critical mass where you had Web 2.0, Facebook, etc., that would amass not just one page, but enormous portals, and it became centralized. And now we have Web 3.0, where there's a chain of distributed ledgers where it's effectively anonymous, and it allows a different way of people coming together. And one of the things that are different to what we have now in terms of centralization is, I call it hard-coded best practice. So you have Satoshi or Vitalik that think about something and says, I want to create a currency where I reward the computers that encrypt the currency and make it secure. How do I reward them? Write out a white paper and see if people accept that reward, that all the necessary players of that game are suitably rewarded. So for every 1,000 white papers, you'll have, one project that actually people go, you know what, this is hard-coded best practice. I'm going to play the game. And so the beauty is that once one of those wonderful flowers blossom, it then doesn't require all of the infrastructure that is required to manage Facebook, or required to manage a telecommunication company, or required to manage a bank. So you can actually, this best practice is just hard-coded. The pricing is automatically set. Everybody knows where they stand. It's totally democratic. And that's why crypto exists.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Brianna to talk about finding your community in crypto. Thank you. You want to stand?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Well, Tomiwa pulls that up. I think everyone should give Tomiwa another round of applause, not just for his great speech, but for pulling this whole thing together. None of this would have happened without Tomiwa. So thanks. Good job. Okay, so my name is Brianna Sims. I use she, her pronouns. I work here at Wealthsimple in crypto operations. And I'm really excited to talk to you today about finding your Web3 community. First of all, everyone here is off to a great start by coming to this event. A lot of this advice will help with, make a friend tonight if you don't know any other crypto people, and that will get you started. But basically, I just want to continue on kind of what Tomiwa said about why crypto matters and why Web3 matters, and give you kind of a baseline intro on what it is for those of you who are new to this. So who am I? Just to quickly introduce myself, I've been a baker, I've been a librarian, I've been a teacher, I've also been a lawyer. None of those roles were as cool as Julia Roberts makes them seem, but why do I mention this? It's because I now work in crypto, and none of my experience prior to crypto was crypto related. It was those other things. But the point of that is Web3 is for everyone. No matter what skills or experience you have, no matter where you're coming from, the point of crypto, and I think you'll find a lot of people in this room have that same idealism, is we're building a new future and we need all the skills and experience of everyone. So don't wonder, like, what do I have to learn to get involved? It's what do I already have that I can bring to this new world? And shout out, this was, sorry, a little jumping ahead, but this picture is one random event I went to called Bitcoin Pizza in the Park. And you literally just show up to a park and someone brought pizza, and I met a whole bunch of people, including some who are here today. So you're in that photo too? Amazing. Thanks everyone for the pizza in the park. It's very friendly. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Okay, so for those of you new to Web3 and who want a visual diagram of what was just so wonderfully explained by you. No, it's perfect. This is exactly why we're here today. Everyone's learning and sharing knowledge. So really quickly, Web 1, as you explained, is you can read things on the internet. Web 2 is you can read and also create content and read other people's content, but none of the reading or content creation was owned by the content creators. It's all owned by the Facebooks, the YouTubes, the Instagrams. So the whole idea behind Web 3 is that the people who are bringing value to the system are also getting value back. The people who care about the system are the ones who get to make decisions about it. It's read, write, and ownership of the internet and anything on the web. And so it's a really powerful concept, and it's enabled by the blockchain. And I think I saw a few hands of people who know very little about crypto. And so the blockchain, you just basically picture a big spreadsheet, and everyone has a copy of the spreadsheet, and every transaction is an entry on the spreadsheet that everyone can see. So it's very easy for it to be, very trustworthy because everyone has a copy of the spreadsheet. You can see everything that happened. So in Web3, when everyone is participating, you can see who participated, you can reward them for participating, you can see who voted. It's very transparent. This is kind of a tongue-in-cheek slide because, as I said, the skills needed in Web3 are literally everything. At the top is Solidity devs, because we all know they're the ones, building things on the blockchain. But apart from that skill, we need community builders, you need creators, you need visionaries, you need all the stuff going into any normal business. So as I said, lots to do. And if you're wondering, how do I get involved? Or if you're wondering, how do I get involved next? The easy thing is to say, what's your interest in Web3 or in crypto? A lot of people came in recently because of the money goes up thing, where it's like, oh, you can make a lot of money. You can also lose your house. So be cautious. This is not financial advice. Another good reason that I'm really passionate about is it's a fantastic way to support creators and artists because the money goes directly to them and there's no intermediaries. It's very open. So musicians, artists, this is one of my favorite projects, the Crypto Coven. You buy an NFT of a witch. It's just for fun, but it's really fantastic. And in Web3, there's all these cool solutions for providing and encouraging creators. Maybe you're really interested in being on the cutting edge of technology. I've learned so much in my 8 months here. One of them is decentralized identity stuff. I'm not going to go into it. Very, very cool, very cutting edge. Maybe you want to contribute to valuable causes. So one thing I learned about from Bitcoin Pizza Party was LabDAO, where they're trying to, create access to scientific technology and reward people who are doing research rather than it going through the big science. Another thing, maybe you want to become famous like Vitalik and get recognized on the street. There's plenty of people who spend all their days learning about it, so plenty of room for that. Traveling the world. I got into it and 3 months later got invited to Florida and met cool people and took a picture on a beach with someone I met at the conference when I wasn't supposed to because it was a storm and we got kicked off right after this picture. But lots of fun, lots of travel. Talk to Tomiwa if you want a scholarship to international conferences. And you get to meet really cool people. This is someone I met at Collision who presented a paper to the UN, and I just was fangirling really hard. She seems really cool. So plenty of cool people in this room. And so if you figured out kind of what you're interested in, what drives you, the next thing is how to actually action it. First of all, find a friend here. That's the easiest way. But I will tell you from my personal experience, trying to talk to my friends and family about it, they are so tired. So you got to let the people come to you if you're the crypto expert and support the people who are coming to you with questions. They'll come in their own time. But an easier way is self-directed learning. There's podcasts, there's articles, YouTube, but there's also guided courses. This is, stuff like Crypto Chicks does. So go talk to Alina if you want to take a fantastic course and be guided through it. There's even ones with rewards like rabbithole.gg. They reward you in crypto for learning things. I personally learned best by applying knowledge. So I'm still pretty new to the space, but I started a newsletter and collected stuff from around the company in the Crypto Nerds channel. That's how I met Tomiwa. He was like my very first and biggest cheerleader. So also be a cheerleader in the space. It really keeps things going. But study groups, webinars, going to events. I joined a lot of Discord communities, but there's other places to gather, WhatsApp, Telegram, start meeting people and collecting their info. And going to events really is, honestly, there's something so special about being in a room with a whole bunch of people into crypto. It feels like, I think I've said this to a couple people already today, but there's so much idealism and optimism and energy and almost shared values amongst people in this space that coming to an event can really, give you a lot of energy to go forward in your journey. So I'm glad you're all here today. And this is, I'll just end on, this is a picture of one of my favorite communities called Boys Club. And these are some Toronto Boys Club friends that I found, and it was a success story. I found my community and now we're here. So thanks everyone for coming. I'm gonna pass it immediately to Jen, and then we can both stick around for questions after. Yeah. Thank you.
You can just also present.
Okay.
I can scroll through.
Yeah. Oh, it's just the opposite. Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Jen. I'm here to talk about my journey into crypto, which has actually been pretty short, I'm sure compared to a lot of you, and also how I found my own community in the crypto space as well.
So quick background about myself. I studied mechanical engineering and economics in undergrad, and then ended up working in construction consulting for a few years. But it got to the point where I wanted to work in an industry that I would continue learning, be able to use my creativity, and be able to create things a lot faster than construction or manufacturing. So I took a development bootcamp for 3 months and ended up getting a job at Coho, working as a front-end developer, working on the web and mobile apps. And it wasn't until actually April of this year where I saw a lot of people posting about blockchain and promoting this website called BuildSpace, which has a lot of courses to learn about the space. I ended up joining a course, joining the Discord, and meeting people online, met on Gather, worked through a course together. So meeting a bunch of people really motivated me to, continue learning in the space. And about a month later, I started seeing a lot of posts about Blue DAO. They were sponsoring people to go to a hackathon in Miami, which seemed like completely unreal to me that anyone would pay for me to go on a trip to Miami, but I applied and got accepted. And soon enough, about a week later, I was on my way to Miami with a bunch of people that I had never met before in real life. But it was actually a lot of fun. This is actually where I met Tommy as well. I learned so much about crypto. I went in not really knowing anything, and everyone was so supportive. Our hackathon actually ended up winning a bunch of prizes as well. So it was really exciting to see your name, like your project's name, on the presentation when they're saying the awards. So obviously I had to keep building in the space, and I wanted to attend another hackathon. So I ended up at ETH New York City. This time I actually worked on a project with Terja, who is speaking later. You've heard a lot about him tonight, I'm sure as well. So that was really cool. And this photo on the right was actually, I got to meet one of the BuildSpace friends that I'd met online in real life as well. So that was really a super cool experience, kind of brought it all together. And again, at this hackathon, we ended up winning some prizes. Polygon invited us to like the winner's lunch the next day. EPNS hosted us on a Twitter space to talk about our project. So yeah, all in all, it was a great experience. And like I've had so much fun building in space, and like I want to continue, obviously. So, but yeah, just a quick recap. Definitely participating in Discords, like actually interacting with people. Joining hackathons in real life, I would recommend, because the energy is just like unmatched with anything I've ever done before. And walking around, you can meet so many cool people with an interesting story. And as a developer, like Web2 skills transfer over, no problem. And one thing I actually learned is that non-developers can participate in hackathons as well. So Blue DAO supports lots of non-developers like product managers, lawyers, artists, really anyone can contribute to the project in some way. I'd also recommend, if you can, to get a scholarship to go to these, because not only like for financial help, but you have a whole support system, and I didn't have to worry about finding a team for any of these. You leave with automatic friends that like you still meet like all around the world. So it was a lot of fun. And then again, like check out learning websites. These two I posted because I think they have really active Discords, which is really important as you're learning something, because you have people to help you along the way. And I will be adding crypto chicks to this list as well from what I've heard earlier. So, but yeah, anyways, thanks so much for having me. Yeah.
Anybody have any questions for Brianna or Jen?
So you're asking like a non-developer hackathon, right? So what I mean is that so my first hackathon that I participated in, 2 out of 5 of us were developers. So I was just saying, like, as a non-developer, you can find a way to contribute. Like you could write copy, work on the pitch. Maybe you're an NFT artist if you're doing an NFT project. I just think it's like a really fun way to get involved in the space, and you don't have to be a developer to participate, which I thought was like, I never knew that. I thought that was like pretty cool. Obviously, yeah. 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 Thank you.
Thank you, Jen and Brianna. Next, we have Terja to talk about investing in crypto.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, sounds good. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'd love to thank sponsors, the community partners, Tomiwa, who's been an incredible mentor. Learning more about the space because it goes by so fast. This topic is very hot because that's usually how people get started in this space. I'm going to be giving you a little talk about creating a personal crypto investment thesis. It's a long title. And now you're probably wondering right after hearing it, okay, what does this 22-year-old kid think about teaching me about my own finances and actually going to teach me how to actually invest in crypto? Well, the thing is, in crypto, it's very volatile, but the opportunity for me to give you a new perspective of looking into crypto as a venture investor. What does that mean? To look into crypto as a initial or early stage investment and using the framework from venture capitalists to actually understand that. And we're going to be taking a deep dive and look at the fundamentals to actually understand it. So a little bit about myself. Awesome. Thanks, Samuel. My name is Terja. I'm currently an analyst at Ripple Ventures, which is a early stage Toronto-based venture fund focused in software, enterprise, and developer tooling across Web2 and Web3, of course, and also a contributor at Developer DAO, which is a community of Web3 developers and enthusiasts. Now, one thing we can all agree on, everyone here, is that there's a lot of money flowing around in crypto. That's something that can be agreed upon, right? When it comes to the money, this market year over year has continued to grow, and it's risen all the way up to $3 trillion or nearly $3 trillion. And right now sitting at 1.17. Yeah. And when you dive in a bit deeper, you look to understand that in 2021, there was $33 billion of venture capital money invested into crypto. So what does this all mean? Why is there so much money going into the space? And then on top of that, there's 851 cryptocurrency funds. So these are all a lot of numbers, institutions, a lot of money they get to play around with. And you're probably wondering, why does that matter to you? Why should you be looking into all these crypto funds as to how they invest? The reason is there's a lot of ways to make money in crypto, from DAOs, NFTs, DeFi. You can't forget that crypto is very volatile. It's very heavily driven through memes. And if you look at if you really look at the memes, there's a lot of fundamentals within each of them. So today I want to be taking you through the fundamentals of venture capital and being able to look at these crypto projects and by analyzing the product, the team, and the market. When we look at the product, you want to see if the product itself or the project you're looking to invest into has actual validity behind it. Can this project be something in the future? Why is it using Web3 technology, not Web2? Next, you want to look into the team. So you want to see if the team itself, do they have previous experience building in the space? Are they fast builders? Are they going to actually get the job done that they say? It's really funny to look into this topic because in crypto and Web3, there's a lot of projects that are being built by anonymous users like anons, that's a typical name. And although there are pros and cons, it's really hard to actually track them down later on in the future if there is, a rug pull, a scam that does occur. And of course, we're looking into the market, which is the third segment to actually understand that the project you're looking to invest into, okay, cool. Does it actually have a lot of competitors? Is it going to get the job done? Or is this the same project you're like next over next over next? So when you combine all these three, I want to give you an example of this really fun token that came out a year ago, I believe. And this is the same time as the Squid Games, the Netflix series that just blew up. And this coin had risen all the way up to 83,000%. And that about equates to $2,891 per token. Now, that's a lot of numbers going on. And this chart can clearly tell you there's a lot of red flags. And when you look into the red flags, you have to understand everything we covered. The product, this is a play-to-earn cryptocurrency that had no game attached to it. Number two, there was no affiliation to the actual Netflix series. When it comes to the team, they're a bunch of random people from the internet. And fun fact, they added a feature which disabled the communication between the team and the actual social media platforms, as well as the market. There's no differentiation. There was nothing special about the project itself. And the cherry on top of this entire project was the tokenomics, because they disabled you to actually sell the token. So once people actually bought the token, they ran away with about $3 million USD, of course. So when you combine all these things and a lot of negative things, I'm telling you, it's not to scare you away. Cryptocurrencies usually started with the money side, then you start to learn about the technology. So I just wanted to give you a few little action items to actually understand. And that would be to look at number one, CoinMarketCap or Dune Analytics, which provides you with an overview of the finance as well as the numbers to see if this project is actually going to be something in the future. Number two, review the technology. Everything we covered, a white paper is a big name, but that's just a fancy name to say the actual tech behind it. And if you don't really understand it, and if you can't, there might be a lot of BS going on, or you can just reference check with your network. And this is where, you make friends who actually know what they're doing. I have a bunch of friends I have to reference when I have to buy a project, and that's how I believe we're all going to make it. Thank you so much. Happy to answer any questions. All right, cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if a crypto company is valued at $1 billion valuation, I think it primarily a token itself. So that's a great question. What I would say to that would be the token itself right away. The fact that they have $1 billion valuation means that there's some technology behind it. That means it's an actual product. We can reference, say, Polygon, which is a great L2 that's being built. So when you look at the $1 billion valuation and all the hype that's being driven behind it, you have to understand that and take a look behind the scenes. You don't want to just be looking at the money and all these different things that you see on Twitter, whatever it may be. You want to be able to understand if the technology and the platform, if they're building, if the community is there, if they're actually innovation taking place. And if you don't really understand where to find it, this is where you go talk to the developers, the people that are actually at the hackathons building different things. You have to just ask them, hey, are you going to use Polygon? Yes or no, and why? And then you have to double check, okay, if they're using Polygon, what does that mean? Is that a good thing, bad thing? And having to ask all these different questions will provide you with a rabbit hole and allow you to actually understand the entire space even better. The valuation in crypto is it can be completely BS. So you have to take a look at behind the scenes.
Thank you, Terja. And in the interest of time, thank you for sticking around. We have one more presentation. So I'm going to be talking for the final presentation about introduction to what I call decentralized science. And we have some DeSci people in the room. Where's the other person? Laura. So one of the reasons why I love, there she is. One of the reasons I love DeSci so much is, again, people always say this whole crypto thing, like, what is the use case? Like, why, like name one thing that crypto can actually do for me. And I don't think you can get a better use case than actually saving a human life. So I'm going to ask a personal question here. So if you're comfortable, please be honest about this. Who here has lost a family member to a preventable illness? Okay, so a couple of us have lost it. And then how many of you kind of felt powerless watching it happen? Like you couldn't really change the effect of what was happening? To an extent. And that is actually why we need DeSci, because science, medicine, health is something that affects all of us, but very few of us can actually have an effect on the outcome. And DeSci, in a very simple way, just makes it possible for anyone to do science. So to make it very concrete, let's use the example of Anya. So Anya just found out that she has a genetic disease that makes her more predisposed to get her condition when she gets older. Her mother just found out that she has high blood pressure. And her grandmother is recovering from a stroke. Now, Anya thinks she has an idea that could save her life, her mother's life, and her grandmother's life. But there's a problem, which is that it's going to cost her about $1 billion. It's going to take 10 years. And there's about a 98% chance it won't work. And why is that? Well, in order for you to go from an idea to saving human life, there's a bunch of different steps in this process. Publishing research, generating an assets, selling stuff in the lab, funding it, all that kind of stuff. And all of these steps, again, are controlled by centralized parties. So let's start with publishing your research, right? So you've done the research, ready to publish it. Put it on the internet, right? No, you can't do that. These three companies have one of the most profitable but most evil business models I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not exaggerating. So imagine a company that's what's called the triple pay system. So the way it works is they have scientists that are funded by government, taxpayers, AKA you and I, that write the papers for free for them. So they're getting a free product. Then the editors review the product also for free. So they have a free product, it's getting edited for free, then they turn around and charge the universities to pay for that product they got for free. It got so bad that actually, I think University of California was paying about $10.6 million a year for scientific research. And they said, enough is enough, we're not doing it anymore. But it gets worse. Now you want to conduct an experiment. You've done your research, you want to go to a lab and conduct an experiment. Very, very expensive. I think if you want to do a lab study on a mouse, it's about $140,000. If you want to do a large animal, it's about $400,000. So half a million dollars just to test a drug on one animal. And then there's the data assets. So we talk a lot about data, and so people tell you all the time your data is valuable, but you probably don't have a dollar value to how valuable your data is. And actually, basically, Ernst & Young found out that about the 55 million people that have data records with the NHS, it's worth about $5 billion a year. But this is your health record, right? So you can't just upload your health record to like AWS or Amazon and just sell it. So it's valuable, but how do you unlock that value? As usual, DeSci fixes this. So we start with publishing research. So there's a pretty cool company called Decentralized Science. And essentially what they do is an open marketplace of scientists, editors, and people publishing papers. So you publish your paper and you get paid for your paper. The editors also get paid. And then when a university buys a paper from someone, the money goes directly to the scientists and the editors. Then you have LabDAO. So basically LabDAO is sort of an Airbnb and AWS for lab work. So anyone in the world who has a lab that can be used, they can basically make their lab open for free on this free marketplace. And then basically people can basically pay to have their lab conducted there at a fraction of the cost. And then finally generating the data assets. So without getting too complicated, basically there's a way to have data marketplaces with this thing called zero knowledge proof. It's pretty complicated stuff, but you can just Google it. That allows you to sell your data without giving up your privacy rights. Next, we're going to talk about funding drug development. So creating a new drug, I said before, expensive, long, and risky. And because of all these restrictions, it ends up being funded by mostly rich people or people who already have a lot of money. So you have a lot of venture capital and private equity. So what happens when only large institutions and rich people can fund science? Well, you basically end up in a situation like this, where in order for a drug to get developed, it has to basically affect a few billionaires. If it affects a lot of people, but they're all middle class, it doesn't get funded. Private markets means the rich get richer. If you want to see a textbook example of the rich get richer, this slide is it right here. The best performing asset class of all time is venture capital biotech. In order for you to invest in this best performing asset class of all time, you need at least $1 million. So you basically need to be rich to invest in an asset that already makes the best performing asset of all time. It's a big club, you're not in it. Anybody know who Dan Carlin is? Yeah. So decentralized funding for decentralized science. So what would that look like? So essentially you basically have, imagine a world where you could have decentralized biotech investing. So I think Laura from Molecule is actually here. So if Vita DAO and Molecule kind of. But anyway, you're wearing a Molecule shirt. But yeah, so if you have questions about that, you can talk to her. But basically the way it would work is that you have a DAO, which basically can invest and buy biotech companies and buy drug intellectual property. Then they basically list a token. So anyone can basically own this token. And so this basically means that if you buy a biotech company, it develops a super popular drug and it gets funded, then actually you can get a piece of that upside as well. And one of my favorite reasons for this thing is basically people are more incentivized to cure, not just treat. So a while back, Goldman Sachs put out this report that I'm sure they're probably kicking themselves in the foot for publicly releasing this. And they basically asked themselves, should we actually be curing patients? Is it profitable? And for a company to say, actually, maybe we shouldn't actually be curing people because it's not profitable enough, shows you the problem with modern drug development, right? Which is that if you could have more drugs that were funded by the patients, then people would actually fund to treat things and not just cure it temporarily. And so essentially why I think we need decentralized science is that more ideas, more people get funded, and you have more lives eventually saved. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah, good point. So after this, I'm going to put up a QR code and you can just scan the QR code to get the slides. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I think during the presentation, the common thread that has come out is decentralization is going to solve all the problem, right? I guess my question is, do you in the future foresee a scenario where there are, there is a dominance of, let's say, 4 or 5 institutions? Let's say, for example, in banking, we have the big 5 banks, right? In the tech space, we have the FANG companies, right? Do you foresee in the future, maybe it's happening right now as well, you have Coinbase or FTX or maybe some other companies that are kind of gaining that stronghold. Do you see that happening in the future? Or is there a risk of that happening in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I like to say decentralization is a spectrum, not a destination. So already now we talk about decentralization, but probably most people own crypto, own it on Coinbase, FTX, hopefully Wealthsimple. So I think that's like sort of a function of where society is going to be for almost forever, probably, because to the extent that people don't want to do too much work themselves, there will be some degree of centralization. But the way I think about it is that, yes, there's some centralization, but it's more decentralized than it was 10 years ago. And I'm hoping that in the future, it'll be even more decentralized. So that concludes the ETHToronto Crypto Nerds meetup. Thank you for your time. You can have some free food and enjoy the rest of your day.
Hello. Hope everyone enjoyed the live stream component to the event. I found it very, very interesting and yeah, a lot to learn. So for this next bit, I'm planning on going into 2 breakout rooms. There's 12 of us. So 6 and 6, and then hopefully we'll be able to talk, meet each other, which will hopefully reflect the in-person component to it, and yeah, be able to sort of discuss, network, talk, meet each other, stuff like that. So I'm gonna be doing that now.
Amen, Tifa, thanks for coming through.
Great talk.
Yo, Terja, Jen, get in here.
You guys, we can't see you on there.
Very, very well done, guys. You killed it.
All right. Send you some virtual pizza. All right, see you guys.
See ya. But yeah, so we'll go into breakout rooms and hopefully we'll have a good time. We'll meet each other. And yeah, okay.